Well, welcome back to another episode of the Cantina Club. The three of us actually in the same
Yay!
Zoom room for the first time since January. So this has been a while. It's been about 5 months now. But we are here to talk about episodes 1 and 2 of The Acolyte, the new Disney Plus streaming series. And we're not going to do a episode recap. Everybody's watching this has probably seen the shows. We're just going to kind of talk about our general takeaways and what we think might be coming up on the show in the future. So, who would like to start with their sort of snapshot
I will.
about what they think so far? Gundark?
I will. Uh, I was disappointed, but I have to.
What?
Yeah, I have.
Really? I'm
That's
surprised.
unusual for me, but I have to qualify that by saying I think my disappointment might have come to some degree from the fact that I had expectations about the content of this show, like what it was, the plot was going to be about, when it was going to be set, that were incorrect.
Mhm.
Like I thought, okay, I didn't look up a whole lot about this show ahead of time because I didn't
Yeah,
want to
I don't think
spoil
any of
it.
us did we?
I knew
No,
nothing about it going in.
No,
I mean,
yeah,
or let's
no.
just say very, very
almost
little.
zero.
All we
Yeah,
knew that it was probably going to deal with the dark side, Acolyte, and
right.
I knew it was going to be an older period, before the current Star Wars. I had assumed for whatever reason it was going to be Old Republic. So I thought it was going to be hundreds of years before, and it might look significantly different, and the Jedi might be different. And so I was looking for something really different than what we've been seeing.
Yeah,
And I thought it was going to focus on the development of the Sith, maybe even like origins of the Sith or something. I wasn't. The thing that disappointed me most maybe was that it was really more from the perspective of the Jedi and the good sister who isn't the acolyte than it was from the acolyte herself. I wanted more focus
there
on
was no
the
perspective of the
acolyte.
bad guys at
Right,
all. Yeah, in the
right,
first
yeah.
episodes we've seen. We've seen
We
two.
I was
Let's be
looking
clear, we've
forward to
seen
a
two
dark
episodes
side
thus
show.
far.
Yeah, I want a dark
That's
side
what we
show,
were
I guess.
told. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
right there with you. That's what we were told. I was expecting it to be the first scene from the Phantom Menace where we meet Darth Maul, where he's walking with Palpatine. Only they turn the corner and keep talking,
Yeah, yeah.
and then let's begin your training, and they go, or the Clone Wars episode with Count Dooku and is it Savage? Is that how you pronounce it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Savage
Savage, yeah.
Opress, yeah.
Yeah, Savage Press. That went further into it than anything they've shown so far as dark side training philosophy. And we had a couple of conversations between Snoke and Kylo. It's basically like the only thing they've shown of the Sith is that they're a murder cult. You have to kill someone to join. You have to kill someone to complete your powers. You have to be willing to kill someone at any given moment. It's like if you're inadequate, it's because you haven't killed enough people, right? Oh, you forgot to kill someone. Go kill that person. I promise you'll get more powerful. But I want to know. There's got to be more than that, than just a willingness
Yeah,
to kill, right?
yeah. That's
So
what that's what we I think we all thought it was going to be about. So
yeah,
I'll say that I was disappointed that it wasn't that, but then I'll also say that there were other things that I did find intriguing about it, despite my disappointment. That I'll be interested to see where they go with it. But it may be that my disappointment stems mostly from it not being what I expected it to be.
it was more
Um,
Jedi walking around having meetings and talking and stuff, which we've
yeah,
already
yeah.
seen tons of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're always having meetings and
And stop
I
telling me
found
that
I
in
found
Attack
the
of the
trade I
Clones.
them and
found
the
the
Trade
Trade
Federation.
Federation ship more interesting actually. I was wondering what life was like on that because that seemed like a whole new story, and a different take on the Trade Federation guys. Like I thought the makeup looked pretty good and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of kicked in for a second there, like, cool, okay, Trade Federation guys and mechanics or whatever, and what is their life like? And she seemed to the main character at that point seemed to have like a freshness about her where she was actually happy with her
Mm,
life, which we never
mm.
ever see
Never
in
see.
Star Wars. People
Everyone's
allowed to
always
just be happy,
miserable. Yeah.
right? And she's, obviously it's fake happiness, but um, or she's hiding from something. But she really sold it as in like she had found a nice adjustment. Not that
Yeah,
she's hiding, she found a nice place niche
yeah.
for herself. Sure, it's a waste of her potential, maybe, but maybe she's keeping people alive with her, mechanic abilities. Maybe she's doing, people just look down on jobs that are actually essential. But anyway, I liked her character right at the start if you just divorced it from the story. But
Yeah, I did too.
how she fits in the story, I still have no clue. The story doesn't seem like much of a story right now. It's I'm not really. It's like you could stage it as a play or something.
Well,
There's
they've
just
done
not
a
a
very
lot.
poor job of setting this up. I feel like they're expecting us to have sympathy for these Jedi who are being, offed in the first couple of episodes when we know nothing about them. We've never even heard of their names before. And they should have, I think, maybe set up a couple of episodes where we do get to learn them before suddenly this acolyte shows up and just starts killing them off. I think there would have been a little bit better job of setting it up if they'd have done that. But yeah, jumping right in and just killing these people off and going, okay, why, what's happening? What, I mean, you can piece it together, as far as, well, when they were
Yeah.
young, there was a fire, there was an incident, and they,
Well,
the acolyte blames them for the death of their family, but
I
I
go
don't
ahead.
know. I
I'm
just
sorry.
think they could have done a better job of setting it up, at least as far as developing sympathy for the characters who are being,
You're
assassinated
absolutely
here.
right, and I don't think the better job necessarily would have required starting at a different point, because a fight can inform you about characters very well, and I think they did a good job with this. We can talk about this first fight scene. They did a pretty good job of informing you of who these characters are through their physical actions, and who they were interacting with. There's a little bit of conflict in here for me for the Jedi Master because she's hanging out with some apparent low lives, and that's one thing these Jedi almost from this incident that they're hunting down almost all have in common except Soul. I mentioned it to you guys in chat is that they all seem to be have not done well recently in life for a Jedi. Like she's hanging out in the kind of low life bar, doesn't look super happy to be there, and the company she's keeping doesn't seem that fantastic. They're not heroes or anything for sure. The other guy has been in meditation for years in a little temple that nobody seems to give a crap about, off on some planet. And then the Wookiee's off by himself,
Mm.
completely divorced from everything. So the only one that's done well is Saul, who they mention we need you too much to send you on missions. So
Mm-hmm.
he's essential, while the others are all just cast-offs, it looks like. But anyway, that made me wonder about her. And there was a couple of things in the fight, but mostly you saw a good differentiation between the values that they have. One's wreaking havoc to get their what they want and willing to do any kind of extra damage to get what they want, and the other is thinking about the bigger picture the whole while. What did you guys think of the fight?
I really enjoyed the fight. I thought it was a good way to begin. I agree with Corellian that we needed more foundation for the characters to care about them, but I think that could have maybe followed up after. I liked beginning with a fight like that. Um, you guys showed it to me as you saw it at the Star Wars marathon and sent me clips from it. And it looked like when it played in the theater, like it was spectacular. And the music was really cool. The choreography was cool. It felt like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And it made me
Yeah.
think about back when I first saw Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. The first thing I thought was this reminds me of Star Wars. So it was kind of
Yeah,
Right.
like it was playing off of each
Oh, it
other.
was
right.
yeah, it's totally like Star
That's a
Wars.
great
The
point.
good characters
Yeah.
were very much like Jedi, and even their
Mm-hmm.
values and philosophy, and the struggle with power and what you do with power, and do you elevate yourself of people who don't see your potential? Do you take from them once you have power, no matter what it costs?
Yeah.
Just to get that rush of knowing you deserve the power, or you have the power should you use it. And the wild side, I thought the girl from Crouching Tiger was one of the best illustrations of a Sith they've ever had. Even though she wasn't a Sith, it's universal, kind of philosophy at play, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, and human nature at play. But what about you, Carillion, with
Yeah,
the
I mean,
fight?
I thought that the fight choreography was well done in both episodes. I enjoyed the fights. It's just kind of neat to see more of a martial arts style
Mm.
fighting. I mean, even though we've gotten some of that already with lightsaber dueling, that sort of that style, especially what Ray Park brought to it. But it was just neat kind of seeing the hand to hand version of that. That was really cool. I was pretty enthralled by that. I'm not gonna lie. That was to me was one of my favorite takeaways from the whole first two episodes. Was the fighting. I enjoyed it. You know, Overall though, my initial takeaway from both these episodes is I agree with Gundark that I was disappointed. In just the overarching sense. I was disappointed in the point of view of the story where it is right now. I have nothing against the lead actress. I think she's doing a great job with what
Mm.
the material they've given her. Um, and I like Soul. I like his character. Some of the side characters, I can take or leave.
Mm.
They're just seem more like window dressing than anything, just sort of generic Jedi, and I'm not that into it. But I don't know. I'll be interested to see where it goes. But overall, I'm just, I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. If that makes
Mhm.
any sense. I'm just kind of in the middle right now, and it kind of depends on which direction they take it for the next few episodes where I'm going to land.
Well, they got 6 episodes left, and that's plenty of time to either make it better or to just destroy it in our
Yeah,
minds.
Absolutely,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Agreed.
all they're going to have to do is come up with something the equivalent of midichlorians, like that we haven't heard before. It'll just be too much for me to take. It's like I still not over midichlorians. I know
No.
now it's like people love talking about midichlorians, and it's like you're basically talking about genetic manipulation, which is distasteful to me in the extreme. The idea of breeding a super soldier or a savior or whatever is
Hmm.
that I don't know how that got mixed into Star Wars, but it's done as it almost as well as it
It's
could be in
there
Star
though.
Wars because they don't come out and say you mean the Legend of the Super Jedi, but but still I don't like all that stuff. So when you bring in the force is controlled by biology and it's almost out of our hands. It doesn't matter how devout you are, good you aren't rewarded. It's without what's in your bloodstream or whatever. That stuff bothers me. But anyway, that has nothing to do with this. I was going to say, I think overall, I may have liked this a little better than you guys did the first 2 episodes, because I found the side stuff to be vaguely interesting. Like her life as a mechanic, I was sort of into that. I liked the interplay between the different Jedi, especially Yord and who is the one with the like pale face with the gold. She looked like Blondie or something.
Yeah, I don't know her name,
She
but
had
I know who you're talking about.
the
Yeah.
gold makeup on her eyes.
The
Oh,
Soul's
Soul's
Apprentice. Yeah.
Apprentice. Yeah.
Jackie, I think their name was Jackie.
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 But anyway, it's an old Jackie Chan joke.
Jackie.
But no, I liked their interplay. I thought that she was given some good dialogue to make her stand out a little bit, to where you can see she's observing and putting pieces together. And Jedi aren't immune to sarcasm.
Mm.
They still have the ability to put that stuff together. And I really, really like Saul. I don't know
I
why.
do
I think
too.
it's just the charisma of the actor,
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I agree.
because he hasn't been given a lot of substance or depth, but his facial reactions. I love the moment where he first runs into Osha. Osha's running from them for some reason after she's crashed on this planet. And we have that moment from The Fugitive of I
Yeah,
didn't kill
yeah,
my
the
wife.
fugitive scene. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's either fall off into the chasm and take your chances or come back. And in this one, she plays it too close, slips and falls, and he saves her, which I think will end up being a fatal mistake for him by the end of this. But anyway, he pulls her off the chasm. And the first shot we get of him when she looks up and she's expecting to be arrested or whatever is he's just smiling like, wow, that was a close one. I'm so glad you're back.
Hmm.
And the compassion in his face and everything. Yeah, I just love that, man. I love when the Jedi are good guys. I know they're supposed to be divorced from emotion and stuff, but we as an audience are not divorced from emotion. We
Right.
need to connect with someone somewhere.
Yeah.
So if he is more in touch with the living force, or however you want to put it, where he can experience with emotion without falling to the dark side, more power to him. I mean, why waste his ability to emote as a great actor? I just thought that was a great choice, that close up of his face, where
Yeah.
we get to feel what she's feeling for a second, which made us feel for her, which was a lesson that was completely lost in movies like The Last Jedi.
Right.
Where there's zero connection and there's nothing but negativity between the characters. Here we have something that's based in something we can relate to. That's not just bitterness, failure, go away, get off my lawn,
Yeah. Yeah.
disappointment, whatever. All the characters are
Yeah,
feeling.
it's clear that this character has a strong attachment
Yes.
to her character.
Dare I say he loves her?
You can just
Yeah.
see that, like
Yeah.
you said, in his facial expressions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even when she's talking and he's in the same frame, you can just see he's just looking at her like he's just hanging on every word that she
Yeah.
says and stuff. He
Yeah.
clearly
And
is.
this guy may be guilty of bad things. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
We were watching it and we both said, Lady Rodian said when he said at one point something in defense of her, she said, "Yeah, and what else do you know, pal? You know something." But his core value though is compassion, and she was once his responsibility, and he's not going to lay that responsibility down, even though she walked away from it. He still feels that side of the responsibility. And he even told them, he said, if she's become bad, it's because of my failure as a master. It's not her.
Yeah.
So he's willing to even, but it may be guilt, and we're going to find out, I guess.
See, and I think it's interesting that he's placed with the younglings. He's introduced training younglings, and he's there at, I guess it was Coruscant, right? And
Yeah.
the other Jedi are off in these backwater places, maybe in the Outer Rim, whatever. So it seems like maybe he's the one who survived the most from whatever bad thing happened in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be because of that core aspect of his character that he actually cares, which may
Or the
also
really
be a
wicked twist
downfall.
could be that he could be the worst of the lot, and is
Yeah.
able to justify the ends by the means, and say, hey, it's sad, I feel sad, I feel terrible, but we have a bigger thing to do. But I think part of the overarching fit of this is supposed to be 100 years before the
Yeah.
Clone Wars start or something. Is I think he's going to be another pivotal character where they're going to imply that he's teaching younglings, he's compassionate, he's got other sides of Jedi to him, and the people overseeing him are saying, like, look, we need to have meetings, we need to
Yeah.
slow
Yeah.
the roll, we need to take no action. And they're also saying, hey, why are you feeling emotion, why are you feeling attachment?
Yeah.
So I think he has to die by the end of this or be gone, because you'll remove him from that pivotal role of training younglings. There's going to be a break in the chain somewhere, where 100 years is just a couple of generations,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
So it's not long. Qui-Gon will be around, and
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have someone like Soul or the student of Soul to carry on that humanity within the Jedi, then you start to lose that. And so the
Yeah.
more human and the more connected of the Jedi that you lose, the more that care about what's going on, the more internal looking and everything the Jedi may become, and I could see that being a part of this. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, I don't
I
see him making it out of this at all.
I wanna backtrack. I wanna say first that I agree with you that I love that character. He's my favorite one
He's
so
the reason
far.
I'm watching,
Yeah,
probably, but
he's wonderful. But I want to backtrack and point out one thing that Greedo said. These words came out of Greedo's snout where he said, "I just want to point out that I I think I like this a little bit better than both you guys."
Yeah, I caught
yeah.
that.
What's
That was
wrong
a
with
rarity.
that? Am I
That was
not
a
allowed to like things now?
I
nope.
think that needs to be put up on the screen as a quote. It's like it needs to be grown and stuff.
I think overall, I may have liked this a little better than you guys did. I think overall, I may have liked this a little better than you guys did.
I don't think I can remember
Well,
anything where Greedo liked it better than
Something
both of
better. Yeah, it's
us.
not that he didn't like something, but he liked
yeah.
it
Well,
better than us. Yeah.
I think the criticisms you guys hit on perfectly. So I really don't, it's I could repeat all that and more viciously. I could
Yeah,
take
yeah,
down a
Well,
yeah.
see,
show,
I want to
but
go back to
it's too
what,
soon yet. I really think
yeah,
one thing positive I want to say is the sets and the special effects are of a different level
yeah,
than we've seen recently.
yeah.
Um, why? I don't
More
know.
money was put
And
into it.
Andor was even more superior, I felt like, on
Hmm.
sets, but maybe in effects, this might be right there or higher level than Andor. It had more effect sequences, it seems like. And Star Wars needs that. Star Wars needs the artwork in there. It needs the big scope. It needs the planets. It needs atmosphere.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, the Matrix or whatever they film on, whatever they call that, the volume.
The
That's
volume. Yeah.
fantastic and everything. But they've shown us their hand, and so now we can very easily, most of the times, pick out when the volume is there, and it takes us a little bit back. So when they're willing to spend that extra money to expand upon the
Have an
volume,
actual fit. Yeah,
it has an effect now, and I immediately give this a little more respect in my subconscious because I'm looking at something that looks better, like they put more effort into it. Does that mean it's more quality? No, of course not. Does it explain why in the world Obi-Wan looks the way it did in certain parts, and why Book of Boba Fett looked like Sid and Marty Krofft, two guys walking around with a talking flute or whatever? But
Okay, hold on. Speaking of that,
yeah.
I do need to jump in here
Okay.
because specifically the Sid and Marty Krofft reference that's perfect because okay, it does look better overall. However,
Yeah.
there
Uh-oh.
was a scene that I've watched it. Okay, so
Was it
we'll
the
go in
dog
preface
jumping in
too.
front of the fireball? Oh, that was Independence Day.
I've seen I've seen the first episode twice. I've seen the second episode three times. So,
Damn.
yeah, I mean, I wanted to watch it more because
How often do you watch stuff you like?
the well, that's why I watched it again is because I wanted to make sure that it was not me or it was me
Right.
or whatever.
It
But
actually
anyway,
is disgusting.
I watched the second episode three times. The last scene in episode two, the first time I saw it especially, I couldn't believe what I was watching. The whole scene with
With the
the
Wookiee.
Wookiee.
Yeah, it was bad.
I was
That was Sid
Land of the
Minecraft, you're
Law. It's
right.
Land of the
Yeah, it
Lost
was. It
Yeah.
was Land of the
1974.
Law. Yeah.
It was that terrible. Like, am I literally? I mean, I expect Dopey to come walking through.
Yeah. It wasn't,
Where's
it couldn't have
Chaka?
been there.
There's Chaka.
Chaka. Alice, the Allosaurus.
That yeah, Alice and Grumpy. Yeah, that was
Yeah, we all love
terrible.
Sleet Stacks. Why can't we have some Sleet Stacks?
But anyway, I just
Medieval
you
minions.
reminded me of that when you made the Sid and Marty Crawford. I just
No, now that you
that whole
mention
last
it,
scene, it
that
looked
and it was
awful
a
to me.
terrible moment to end too, because you were trying to adjust to like this looks like a comedy compared to
Yeah,
what
and
we
then
just saw,
suddenly it
and it just
was
ended. It was like a big joke or something. Like the whole thing was over, kind of like the
Yeah.
last scene of Mandalorian season 3.
Uh, yeah,
but
that
but
was
I did like there's a Wookiee in it. I mean, I've been looking for the Wookiee Jedi ever since I
And
looked
Jonas
at the
needs
cover
work. I
art
mean,
from
he's a great guy.
yeah.
yeah, he's the guy who does Chewbacca. What in the actor who does Chewbacca in
Eunice,
the
yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
What else can he do
So
besides
cool to
fixing light fixtures in high places? Get stuff off the too tall shelves or whatever.
and I hope that he will be better developed than Land of the Lost
Yeah.
foolery. So
I just didn't feel like that was
Hopefully.
the best take for anything there. It reminded me of the holiday special Wookiees, which
yes.
Jonas is way better than that. But it was
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was like he was flopping around everywhere, like emoting way too hard. Like, yeah, we know you're upset that hunters, no Wookiee likes hunters,
And they
poachers.
look like
You know that.
idiot hunters. Like
It was battle. It was battle for indoor holiday special.
It
All of
was
a sudden,
bad. It was that
sworn
quality. It
in,
really
yeah.
was.
And
bad.
we're gonna have to
Headband was
we're gonna have to
wearing.
wring drama out of this scenario somehow next time. Is what's gonna be funny. I've been dubious of that from the beginning. Everybody's like taking that as a selling point. A Wookiee Jedi. I never liked it in Clone Wars. The Gurgle or whatever his name was.
Gurgle.
If they can avoid being another
Gurgle.
gurgle, then it would
Yeah.
be good. I was
He
wanting
had
it
big
since I
plushy doll eyes.
okay. I remember back when they released the High Republic novels or whatever, like
Mhm.
a few years ago, and looking at the cover art and seeing the Wookiee Jedi on that, he looked really cool, and I thought, oh, that could be really
Because
cool.
that's a drawing.
Yeah, it's a
You still
drawing.
can't make that happen in real life. It's hard to do.
Right.
Now, when I go to a
Yeah.
convention and I see a guy 9 foot tall in a Wookiee costume and I know he's on stilts, it's badass. It looks really cool. But it's a far cry from putting it on film with him, doing
Yeah,
form
yeah.
whatever of the
I
Jedi
agree.
stances and with the lightsaber and all that.
I agree. They're gonna have to do a
But
lot to
even the
recover from
hunters
that.
were comedic characters. It's like they tried to change
Yeah.
tone,
Right.
and you should know to stick to one tone with this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, that brings me back to another. What do you guys think about taking another Star Wars piece and modeling it after Rashomon?
I don't
Now, this
really have a problem with
might be
that.
only me who's interested in this. I don't know, but they've said they were modeling this after Rashomon,
Yeah.
which is many people telling the same story,
Yeah.
and
I don't really have
everybody's
a
wrong.
problem with that. Well, that was one of the things that maybe has me most intrigued about the plot. Since I was
Yeah.
disappointed in the plot not being about the development really of a Sith acolyte, that I was interested in the idea of a mystery that, and I was talking with my friend about this the other day, who's also a Star Wars fan, and we were both like, oh, the motto of this show is going to be from a certain point of view, it seems like, and we weren't even thinking about, I didn't know they modeled it on Rashomon, but it seems like the Jedi Knights have
Well, it's one
something,
of the
like even
influences.
like the Jedi Knights have something that may be a crime that they committed to cover up, and
Yeah.
you're getting into some serious territory. You got one Jedi. I mean, we can't, even as much as I didn't feel like this was sinister enough, I'm forgetting that a Jedi Knight committed suicide on screen.
Yeah,
after.
they didn't even give us a
Yeah.
trigger warning.
Yeah, and he was like, he had been withdrawn from the world for a decade, floating there until somebody brought him poison for him to commit
And he
suicide
immediately
for
drinks it.
absolution, which means, what the
Well, not
hell
only
did
that,
you do?
he said I've been waiting for you. So this is what he was waiting for. Was
Yeah,
his a chance to atone with his life for one of the people that was there.
yeah. So what happened? Now, so I am intrigued about what happened and why the Jedi are covering it up, and exactly what the certain point of view will be that they'll argue, that will justify whatever it was that happened. And the point that it kind of disturbs me too that it sounds like maybe there was a crime committed. They tried to cover it up and involved a fire that maybe killed a family they didn't intend to kill. And but then they end up blaming the fire on a baby.
Mm-hmm.
They blame the fire on the twin sister who becomes the evil twin or whatever. I mean, how
Mm-hmm.
do you do that with any kind of a conscience?
The
There's
only
something
way is
else
if
going on here.
she actually did. One of the girls actually did set the fire. Now, which one? That
Yeah.
we why this brings me to another point. Like, can we start talking about speculation? So far, it's been a little
Sure.
underwhelming. We can agree the production values are good. The music didn't bowl me over like I thought it would from the preview that we saw in the theater. I wish I'd seen
Yeah.
it in the theater to get the full impact of the music. But I don't really remember much of the music from it, unfortunately.
Yeah, one of the other
Um,
times I watched it, I paid a little bit more attention, and I do like the music.
yeah, it's
It's
nothing
a little
didn't
bit
stand out
more
as
in the
being
typical
bad.
Star Wars vein,
Mhm.
especially if
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
you watch the scene where she's attacking the Jedi who was meditating and all that,
Yeah.
and the scene where they find his body. There's some music in there. It's some straight out of the John Williams songbook.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Um, and I will say, I do think the fact that I didn't relate to any of the characters has nothing to do with the fact that there wasn't a white person to be seen for like 90 minutes or something. Quest for white Jedi or whatever is what they should have called it. I mean, it was just a total change. Like, wow, there's been a change in the workforce since before to after. But no, I don't think that entered into it at all. I did notice it because you couldn't help but notice it. It was
Yeah.
like there was no one, So I guess they're trying to make me feel like some other people have felt within their life when they look at a show and go, "No one's like me." It's like, oh my gosh, no one like me. But that's okay. But I think that's the major shortfall so far has just been the story. They're obviously trying to do a very complicated story, and when you do that and you have to pick a point to start it from, and you sometimes sacrifice a lot of the buildup because you have to do flashbacks, you have to explain things with revelatory, like when the characters realize them. So just storyboarding all the arc of the story was probably pretty difficult. Is it going to pay off? I have no idea. But let's talk about
Wait,
speculation, like
wait,
I
before
said.
we speculate, let me say one more
Uh,
thing about overall. You mentioned
okay.
that you kind of, even though you don't relate so much to the characters, you kind of like the side character stuff, the
Yeah.
side aspect.
It felt like a
I
Star Wars universe to me around things. Like I felt like I was part of. It wasn't jarring to me. Like
I didn't feel though that they gelled as an ensemble yet, which is something that happened in Mandalorian pretty quickly. You get all
right.
added characters were added really quickly, and they quickly begin to work together. Where you're like, oh, these are just cool characters that work together in a cool way. I don't feel like quite they're all. I don't know.
Well,
Maybe that will change.
was it scenes like when they go, "Oh, I sense the master is in danger," and all of them run the completely wrong direction, except for one who just goes, "Oh, I'm having a feeling that I should completely separate myself and go alone, a completely opposite direction," and one person follows. It's like people even know where his room is. His room hasn't changed in 10 years. Let's go the long way. He's in danger. Let's go the long way. And the people who've never been there before go right to his chamber. Could that possibly have anything to do with the
that
ensemble not
might
working
that
together well?
might
Yeah.
that
And
might
then,
be
and then
it.
of course there's a fight going on. It's like you're Overwatch, right? You're the guy supposed to contain things and watch from above. So meanwhile, you're 20 feet away and you got your
Yeah.
binoculars out. You're
I don't know
examining
what he was doing there.
close up, like, I
He's
gotta
like
get
20 feet away
fingerprints
and he's
off of
got
this.
binoculars.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there were some shortfalls, some shortcomings in their teamwork for sure. And then of course they have the situation contained, and the one girl comes down with the the mecha or whatever, the mech, and like, please put down your weapons. It's like we've disarmed her already. You're under arrest. Like dirt going everywhere. It's like, oh, and just traction she needs to get away. And again, the Jedi are immune to weapons. What did he say? Weapons, lasers, lightsabers, but dirt. You just throw up some dirt, and they're helpless.
Yeah,
No one could have seen that coming. So there was lots of weird stuff in the show. To me, the clangs weren't as loud because they moved on quickly to the next things.
Yeah.
Also, there's no Boba Fett here, a character I know already.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have to give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe they're just not that clever, when they do something stupid. Whereas I expect Boba Fett to be the most clever bounty hunter in the galaxy. He should not be doing this stuff. Yeah. So, but anyway, okay. So
let's move to speculation now.
Speculation. Yeah. What do you guys got? Any thoughts?
Okay, I want to bring up
something. Has it even
intrigued
you enough? Has it intrigued you enough to speculate?
Yes, I was speculating from the very first scene. After Master Indara was killed, I was shocked. I thought it was just like, oh, she's wounded or something, and my husband was like, she's not getting up. My husband like, she's dead. And I mean, having Carrie Moss, having somebody from the Matrix, like a major action hero character cast, and everybody knows about that in advance. And I'm thinking, like, she can't die within the first scene.
I will point out she died a few times in the Matrix as well. So
well, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Either she's gonna appear in flashbacks in the future, or you got me thinking about this, Greedo, when we chatted after the show, that she might actually be the master of the Acolyte, because we've only seen the master from the back. And I'm wondering if it could be one of the Jedi that was involved in this, whatever crime happened, could be that master. So it could be her, because she obviously is going to have more to do in this. So I was speculating for the very first scene, she got to come back in some way.
Well,
so that was getting me.
One thing about that is that it proves that she's clearly weaker than Sabine or Reva, because
she took a shot
they can take multiple lightsabers to the gut and live. And she takes one knife to the chest.
She had one little knife and instantly dead.
Like, it went in 3 inches. I mean, no offense, but is that considered life-threatening?
Maybe she's not human and her heart is right there or something. Wherever it went in.
Is she related to Qui-Gon? I see your heart was in the right place, right where Qui-Gon's was.
Exactly. So yeah,
the only thing that I don't expect these plots to be airtight. Okay, it's almost impossible with a good show, but with the bar we've set for Star Wars recently, I don't expect that at all. But I still approach speculation as how does this make sense?
Yeah.
Like if I was writing the script, because there are laws to script writing, you don't have superfluous lines, unless for humor or something. Anytime something's brought up, like her tattoo, for instance. Anytime something is brought up, there usually is a reason. Now it could just be they're throwing in 5 lines of red herrings so you ignore the 6th one that's important. Like you have to have the characters do some small talk, so you miss. Usually not though. Usually it's references, and when they start the whole show with your eyes deceive you, don't trust them. When you're established with the character we're supposed to be following, which I know we have a protagonist in May. Osha, I'm sorry, but really the protagonist almost feels like Soul. It's like we got almost dual protagonists going on here. Pick your protagonist, almost like whichever one you want to follow the most. It's kind of smart actually. But from his storyline, he begins by admonishing people, don't believe what you see. Well, that's a direct message to us, right, in the script, saying because we're going to shut off the Jedi training mantra because we've heard it all before. But you have to listen when they're telling you something, and they're telling you something. They're telling you don't believe your eyes. Well, Anyway, so yeah, I was first suspicious of Indara as being the Sith Master because I believe the Sith Master is going to be a woman because everybody's a woman now for one thing, and also the build of the character looks female to me, or like someone smaller perhaps. Although Carrie-Anne Moss is pretty tall, I think. But and anyway, so I think it'll probably be a female. My two guesses so far was Indara or the one that starts with a V, who has the green or blue skin and the tattoos on her head.
Venestra. Yeah.
Venestra, yeah. But I stress I know nothing about these characters, so
yeah.
I'm just saying. Usually, we have to, if there's going to be a mystery character, they have to be introduced by now.
Yeah.
Like it'd be somebody introduced by now if it's going to be connected. If the Sith isn't a totally independent character. Well, if he's a totally independent character, why the mask? I guess because he's a Sith.
Yeah.
But you don't have to have a mask.
Okay, wait a second. Now, if it's Indara, I was talking to my friend about this the other day. We were speculating again about this. She was like, okay, well, why the hell does the Sith Master get the Acolyte to go kill her? What? Like what is her purpose?
To remove her from suspicion, and also she's involved in this conspiracy. How does the Sith Master know about this conspiracy? How?
Yeah.
You don't know yet.
It had to have been there.
It has to have been somebody already involved.
May knows the whole conspiracy somehow magically and went and told the Sith Master. Somehow he found someone just looking for revenge who happened to have force powers. Yeah. I mean, I know that's the whole history of the Sith, but it's a pretty big coincidence.
But that could even fit into the about the Sith, where the rule of two, where you somehow raise your apprentice to the moment where they graduate by trying to kill you.
Right. It's a sadomasochistic cult. It really is.
So maybe that's not as far off of the.
It's not. I'm telling you. Yeah, putting your name on the list of targets is it's a done deal already. So might as well start that way. Plus, it removes you from suspicion. You're the first one off the board. You can remove your alter ego of the Jedi and just become the Sith. You can also
I'm convinced. I am predicting it's
see if they're doing what, and see if they're worthy of going forward, and if they could potentially beat you or not. All kinds of reasons. The only thing that makes me think logically, and I don't expect these scripts to be logical, but the only thing that logically makes me doubt this is that she got on the radio and said, "I got an unknown Force user here," while she was in the middle of the fight and called for help.
Yeah,
I don't see why the Sith Master would do that if they were going to do a foregone conclusion. Also, how do you fake your death? Your eyes deceive you. It should be easy, but I would think if the Sith Master said don't use a weapon, and then was actually one of the Jedi and then was killed without a weapon, it'd be easier to fake the death. But there seems to be some other purpose to this. Do it without a weapon thing.
Yeah, what is that all about? You have to kill one of them without a weapon.
I don't think it's going that route.
I know we're supposed to be speculating, but what do you guys think of this? This is the kind of thing that I would do if I was in charge. The scene where she looked down after she kills the Jedi Master and she goes to get her, just calmly takes her weapon off the bar, which I thought was pretty cool of the character to do. Leave no shell casings, no evidence. And the bartender, she's about to kill the bartender, and she looks down and sees the little grub holding onto his leg, like, or whatever. And so there's no doubt in my mind what she's going to do. She just turns around and leaves. What if she didn't? What if she took them both out? Now, would that have made it a better show for you? Because to me, it would have instantly.
I don't think so, because to me, it would remove the whole reason for the vendetta. It would make her just as bad as the people who killed her family.
But isn't that what a vendetta is? You would lower yourself. No, it is. Be worse.
You see what I'm saying? It makes her know. But the person who wants the vendetta thinks they're above that. I'm wronging you because you wronged me. I can't do something that makes me as bad as you.
Yeah, I just felt like it transmitted a lot about the character, which is important. That she relates to children, first off, which we found out why very shortly after. But she's also not ruthless enough to cover her tracks completely, which brought on this whole thing of she looks like Osha. Yeah. And supposedly she didn't know her sister was alive at this point, but we can assume there weren't supposed to, there were other witnesses. I don't know that she killed everyone, but I just think it would have been badass and shown a resolution. And I wanted to see more evil. You know, I just
Yeah,
want to see
me
more
too.
evil.
Me too.
And
Admit
I want to
that.
see her think about it, think about it and overcome it, just like it'd be a step. Maybe by the end she will. Maybe we'll see a corresponding scene later where May says, "No, screw it, I'm past this now," and kills the innocent people. That would be cool. But maybe
I
I'm.
just don't think
But
it's
it, to
going to
me,
go
to me,
there. I just
to me,
don't
it
think it's
showed
going to go
me.
there.
To me, it just showed me this person can be redeemed again. Like
Yeah,
all Star
yeah.
Wars, and I want to see someone really
Who's
try to be
irredeemable?
irredeemable. Yeah, try
Yeah.
to be. And I just think it would have just made her more formidable and more evil if we had thought she was going to do one thing and then she did the unthinkable. That'd have been
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah.
But anyway, my speculation was that it was Indara probably because it's Carrie on Carrie Ann Moss, right? Why would you have her? But then I thought, well, they're going to do flashbacks, so
Yeah.
she's going to get more screen time.
That's what
So it's
I
not,
figured they have to.
yeah,
Why would they cast this actress to only have
yeah.
her in a 5 minute scene and kill her off? That just makes no
Okay,
sense.
okay. Now, before we move from the who is the master, could the master be Dark Plagueis? That was the first thing I thought before I talked to you and you suggested Indara. I thought it was Dark Plagueis because I was like, this is the time when Dark Plagueis would be doing his crap,
Right.
So
It's
why wouldn't it be Dark
This is
Plagueis?
the time we'd be doing this crap.
He'd be doing his
I love
crap.
that.
So
I'm not sure. I think he might be 50 years too early for him because if we're 100 years before Palpatine is a full Sith, you got to give Palpatine a good 30, 40 years, right? And as far as we know, Palpatine aged normally for the first
okay.
part of his life, as far as we know. So I would assume you need at least to reserve 40 years before. So I think we're a good 60 years. But I mean, Plagueis
Before
would be
Darth Plagueis?
well, no, before Darth Sidious.
Okay.
So I don't think Plagueis would sit around that long, would he? Without, I mean, of course, he could have an apprentice that dies,
Yeah, he could
or
have one
he could be the
before
apprentice of the
Palpatine.
master. Yeah, and
Yeah.
we don't see him till the end, and they use that as some kind of continuity to launch. Wouldn't it be awesome if the end of the last credits, if they say next up Darth Plagueis or what, Book of Plagueis?
right.
Maybe that
But
whole killing without a weapon has something to do with influencing the midichlorians and all that, and preserving life. And that was my first thought was when if you're a Darth Plagueis type who can keep others from dying or couldn't keep himself though, so I don't know. But if you could keep others from dying, then you could have your ally or someone appear to die and
Mhm.
bring them back. So there's a lot of ways it could go. But the other thing, you have anything to say about this, Corellian? What have you thought about any kind of
could it be
speculation?
Darth Plagueis, Corellian? And if not, why not? I want to know
Have you
what
thought
Darth
about which
Plagueis is.
episode? Which episode will you throw your remote in disgust and walk away? Will it be episode 3, episode 4? Will you make it to episode 6, 7, or 8? Will you
I'll
overcome
make it
the
to the
You
Sith
whole
watched
Lord
thing
it
God?
regardless.
three
But I
times.
have
You
honestly, I haven't gotten into a lot of speculation yet because honestly, for me, I haven't seen enough to make me. I don't even want to say
To
care,
stimulate you to
but
do
I
it?
haven't really
Yeah.
seen enough to
That was
make
my
me want to.
question. Did it
What's
draw
that?
you in enough? Yeah. Did it draw you in enough to start speculating?
Right, it really hasn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No. I've done it just kind of in my spare brain processing moments because I can't help myself when I watch stuff. I instantly think about how I would try to write it.
Yeah.
And there's too many things that are too weird with the show. Like either they had all these hundreds of ideas and nobody could win the fight on how to write it. So now we just ended up with a mess in the script, or they're trying to lead to something because my first question was I said it to Lady Rodian when we were watching it. I was halfway through the first episode and they revealed that there's twins immediately. Like we know there's
Yeah,
twins.
yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
mystery. And I said to her, why twins? Why? The only reason to have twins is to have a mystery regarding the twins. But
Yeah.
we reveal it's twins. So why?
There's
Is
no
it just to
mystery. Yeah.
is it just to reinforce the Star Wars idiom of twins and force dyad and all that? No, I don't think so. I think
Mm-mm.
there's going
Mm.
to be a
So there
further
must be
twist
another
with these
reveal at
twins.
some point.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't make sense. And then there was constant clues dropped that we don't know what's going on. From the very first scene, where May, I keep getting them confused, where May kills Indara, and then we see Soul saying, "Don't trust your eyes; they will deceive you." So what we just saw is fake in some way, in my opinion. He's telling us right after that scene.
Yeah.
So he's saying what you just saw, you didn't see. So something is fake in that scene to me. So it's either May or the death of Indara or something else in there. A lot of I've heard people speculate too that the guy who concocted the poison may be the Sith Master. I mean, economy of characters and economy of script would, if he's going to be somebody we've already seen, he's a good choice, as good as any.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a good chance the Sith could just be a Sith, that they build up a whole different thing around. But anyway, what I wanted to say was there's tons of clues here that there's something else going on with the twin thing. And the dream that she had was way too complex. And the little poem they said to each other, stone poem they chanted to each other, we are one, we give each other everything to survive. And I mean, I'd have to go back. I watched it a couple of times, but that's basically telling us they're the same person, I feel like. So there's something going on here where I don't know how they're going to justify it or what it would be, but I feel like one of them is a force projection or something. Or also they said the Jedi live in a dream. Only the Acolyte can kill the dream. Basically what happens when you wake up from a dream? You wake up. Well, another thing as I was watching the first episode was I said to Lady Rodian, how many times is this girl going to wake up in this one episode? I said she should have brain damage by now, because so many things happen where she gets knocked out and then she jumps up, and then she doesn't even have a headache. She walks around completely fine. So that really always bothers me in shows when people sit right next to an explosion and then they're like, hey, so how's it going? They wouldn't be able to hear or anything. But she wakes up over and over again in this show. Like either they just didn't know what they were doing and then they thought that was a cool thing to have happen, or it's implying that she's missing a lot when she's unconscious. And there's stuff connected to that somehow. And the closest she was to her sister was when she was out, when she was unconscious and having that dream where they were running, where she was chasing after her. And my other speculation that I told you guys, and I don't know what I'm implying with the twins, but I almost think they're one person. And the way that Saul is acting so compassionate towards her, as if you would towards someone who has a mental illness, makes me wonder what's going on there. That maybe he had some kind of insight into this, because he said very definitively, nope, I saw the twin die. And then the very next scene, she says, it's not me, it's my sister, she's alive. And he goes, I believe you. Instantly. So it's like either that's terrible writing, or he knows more than we know, right? So
and they also made a big point in the dialogue when Saul was talking to what's her name, Venestra. Okay, the green skin lady. That he was specifically saying, well, she couldn't have done it because she was here with me. And she's like, yes, I agree. She couldn't have done it because she was in your, on your ship with you while this happened, last night or whatever.
Right.
The second murder attempt or whatever. So I thought it was interesting that they were really forcing that, like, oh, it couldn't have been her, couldn't have been her, couldn't have been her, So
and the whole tattoo thing is going to obviously play a part in telling the two of them apart, or verifying that they're the same person, one or the other. And I also was laughing. I was like, her flashback, I said, how many people have the same haircut at 7 years old and at 25? Not to mention two people. I know they're identical twins, but they've been separated a long time. They've gone different routes in life, but they still have the same exact look. Come on, what are the chances of that? But you just gotta overlook that. I would have made them look different. Just if the audience is smart enough, you don't have to give us
that's the problem. Well, the audience isn't smart enough to figure this out.
No, we can't figure out these are Dim's kids. Even though she literally transformed into a kid as she chased her. She started as an adult, transformed into a kid. We still wouldn't be able to figure it out. But
what about, you had mentioned that you thought that Osha may indeed be the Acolyte, that maybe not just them being the same person, but that Osha may end up assuming the mission that May now has. Something will happen to flip the script where Osha will have to continue.
Well, if I was writing it would definitely go that dark, because she's the only one I could see killing a Jedi without a weapon. Because she can break Soul's heart and kill him in a way that somehow force him to sacrifice himself, for her, trying to save her or something. That's the only way I could see that panning out. and that they put way too much emphasis on that. Kill a Jedi without a weapon. We're supposed to believe it's martial arts, and maybe it is, but I have a feeling it's got to mean something spiritual. Kill his soul. His name is Soul.
Soul,
yeah, which is another, Ray, light, Soul, light. They love to symbolize the characters with names, and if this is going to be about the ascension of darkness, then the light should take a hit, right?
Yeah.
I just think he's symbolic. I think his character's symbolic, and he has to go at some point. And the only way I see him going, because he's superior to everyone, you can see that already. He's not even breaking a sweat, fighting off the Acolyte and all that stuff, is if he allows himself, as if he's broken or has to sacrifice himself because of what happened in the past to restore somebody's faith or whatever the case may be. So anyway, but I still think there's something going on here with the twins. And it reminds me of, this is a long, long time ago when I was a kid and I was playing Dungeons and Dragons. We used to do these different campaigns and we tried all these different character things for fun. Well, I had a character that was a paladin, which is a holy warrior, and he swears vows and stuff like that of all kinds of righteousness, basically a Jedi, who, when he would sleep, he had another personality that would come out that was an assassin. So he would creep off in the night and take jobs and kill people at night and stuff, and then live as a righteous person in the day. So that's what it actually threw me back to that. When she kept waking up, I was like, oh, when she's asleep, she's evil. When she's awake. But they started crossing it over, and they seemed to give us a scene where they looked at each other, and she misfired the weapon or whatever. So I don't know. How that, it doesn't make, none of it makes sense. But my other speculation is that I told you guys was, there's going to be these twins were from some kind of either parents who knew they were Force users and Force sensitive, but hid them from the Jedi, or from people that use the Force in some way that is considered heretical to the Jedi.
Okay,
okay. Be that.
Let me jump in there because this was something that my friend mentioned in our conversation this day. She reads a lot more of the books, than I do. And she said that there was some series of books that mentioned a past war between the Jedi and another group of Force users. It was almost like it wasn't the Sith, but it was like a society of Force users or something.
Was it the Nihil? The Nihil?
She can remember the name.
Like that. I forget what it's called, but I've heard of that as well. Yeah.
But she wondered if that might be these people. If Osha comes from those people, they might be working that storyline into.
I haven't read those books, so I don't know if anybody besides Sith are known for red sabers. I think him pulling out the red saber was supposed to be telling us this is the Sith.
Yeah.
And also, the one guy, the apothecary, says there is no peace, or he says no, peace is a lie, or there is no peace, and she says peace is a lie.
Right.
And that's the first, one of the lines of the Sith. That's one of the lines of the Sith code.
But wait a minute. Okay, she still could be from this other culture, this other world. And because they were ruined by the Jedi, she could then go to the Sith. You see what I mean? The Sith could be something entirely separate. So
the Sith could have had his or her eyes on this culture.
Yes, yeah.
Because they were using
to recruit
the Force and yeah, because Count Dooku worked with the witches of Dathomir until he wiped them out. And, I still think it's funny when they attacked him in his pajamas. That was great.
Yeah, that was great. That was a great episode.
he was like he was so surprised that he was beaten for a bit, and then he just beat that ass after he got it together. He realized what was happening.
Like, I'm in my pajamas.
How dare you? These double as karate practice robes. Yeah, once he gathered himself, he just whooped that ass. But
and let me mention this too. My friend said that from this storyline, again, she couldn't remember enough of it because she reads a ton of these novels. It doesn't like retain a lot of it. She said she thought she remembered that there had been some big deal between the Jedi and this culture. The Jedi had destroyed them in some way, and then Yoda wiped out the record of it. Yoda deleted it from the archives of the library or whatever. Yeah. Wow. So I'm even wondering now if Yoda might enter into this somehow, because this is Yoda's time period. He could show up.
Well, it's going to turn out that Yoda has 3 fingers because he's part of the Yakuza. Let's keep
He's
going.
not Yoda, not
He
gonna
had
go
to
that
chop off
dark.
2 fingers. He had to chop off two early in his career.
But
But
this is about covering the Jedi covering something up, you know. So that's
yes.
obvious this series about that. So
Well, that's
like
my speculation, is that for some reason the Jedi come across these children and think they're going to save them by taking them, and because they also have a mandate, evidently, to take children wherever they find them, right?
Mhm.
yeah,
And we
yeah,
don't know the details of that. Are people required to give up their kids or not? I
yeah,
don't think so, but maybe. And so maybe the one of these Jedi leading this group is of the belief that people should give up the kids, no matter what they feel about it, that the Jedi have a right. Yeah, maybe that's going to be a source of conflict amongst the Jedi. But anyway, I could just see it going as they come across these talented kids, they know they have the Force, and they feel like the parents are raising them in a way, just like when we have these people who are fundamentalists who will not take their kids to the hospital, you know, because if
yeah,
God wants my kid to live, he will. You know, I'm not going to let him. You
Mhm.
can't break their skin with a knife or whatever, you know, and do surgery on them. You can't give them, um, you know, an antiseptic or aspirin. And maybe they're going to be like, these kids are going to die, or they're going to turn to evil if we don't. You know, the parents are lost to us because they're ensconced in these beliefs, but the kids can still be turned into Jedi. And because why were they 8 years old and all that? You know,
yeah.
it's like,
8 years old is too old.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's
Yeah,
a whole lot of
exactly.
implications in the show that just don't make sense unless something like that happens. So
yeah,
I don't know if the Jedi will like murder them and then cover it up with a fire. I almost think that it will cause a conflict that ends up tragically when
killing them.
when they
Yeah,
try to
yeah,
save everyone, they fail.
yeah,
And yeah, and maybe this is another thing that's disturbing is Saul evidently has the ability to compel people to remember things and to speak.
yes.
What if he has the ability to make you forget things?
Oh,
Um, he has some kind of mind manipulation, you know, and it's very powerful. He doesn't think
mhm.
twice about it. And that, see, so he could be the one that, you know, resets a child's mind
Yeah,
to the official story, so she doesn't
And
have
yeah,
to carry the burden of what
the
actually
writers even
happened.
put
yeah,
in a reference to that too. If you'll remember the guy in, you know, the apothecary imposter, like he even said, "Hey, please don't wipe my memory in my mind
yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever it is you do." You know,
Yeah.
they put
yeah,
that in there
Mm-hmm.
maybe for a reason. You know,
Now, all that stuff has got to be
yeah,
either for a reason or stuff they were thinking about using or making us think about using, and
right,
they decided not to, or they changed the script or something. But there's a lot of episodes left, so
yeah.
anything could happen. But I feel like the Jedi are almost gonna be hapless in this. Like they're gonna run across a scenario they're not really perfect for. That an opposing
mhm.
group that isn't necessarily their enemy, but that is doing stuff that they can't approve of, and then they decide to get involved when they probably should have left it alone, like Ruby
Yeah,
Ridge. You know, but
yeah.
it's weird because Ruby Ridge, using Ruby Ridge as a analogy, doesn't fit with Disney at all. So, so and with the politics, it's really weird to me. I can't believe I'm saying that, but but anyway, that's my speculations as of right now. Is I think there's something weird going on with the twins that they're either going to follow through with or not. But I think the evil twin is a manifestation of her dark side. And I think that's one reason possibly why Osha is so good is because
Yeah.
her dark side
She's
is fully
divorced from her dark
cognizant
side. Yeah.
and coming to life through her sister. So anyway,
Yeah, that would be an
um,
interesting twist. I would be much more interested if it turns out to be something like that.
Yeah.
you know, there's tons of clues there.
Yeah,
Tons of clues there.
yeah, I agree.
Uh, yeah, but I can't imagine what the Jedi did being so dark that the one guy, like you said, was drink poison. And he's another candidate for me for the Sith Lord, because if he's sitting there hovering in one spot and they lock his door and they say he's
Yeah.
not coming back for a while, he can go do anything he wants, right? And then come back. It's like the old thing of the X Files where the guy was in the hospital bed in a coma, and meanwhile he was the
Oh
one
yeah,
doing
yeah,
and committing
yeah,
all the crimes.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, if you're just known to be immobile and then you just remove from suspicion, that's what you got to think like I said. I got to remove myself from suspicion somehow,
Hmm.
yet remain in a position where I could do something. But I don't know. It still doesn't make sense. It's like, how would this Sith Master know? We're probably never going to know. you know, because the Sith are mysterious. They just seem to stumble across the exact right people with force powers who can be bent for revenge to make into apprentices.
So this has how many more episodes? Six.
Six more.
more.
Oh wow, yeah, okay. Well, we still got quite a bit left.
I figure one's got to be at least mostly flashbacks.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to reveal everything that happened all at once. And if it's like Rashomon, we could have 3 episodes of flashbacks told from different
we
people's
can
point of view.
different point of view.
Yeah,
certain point of view.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, any final thoughts before we sign off?
Do we want to give it a rating?
Yeah, we can do that. Do you want to do separately or the first 2 episodes together? We'll probably just do them separately, I guess.
I give the first episode. I give the first episode a 6.5, and the second one a 6, I guess.
I can't remember where really distinguish between the two. Okay, I'm just gonna.
The first one was longer, and the second one had more
and
exposition.
the first one ended with the Sith Lord Master or whatever appearing.
Yeah, and the second one ended with the Wookiee Rage.
Yeah. All right. Well, I give a 5.5 to the first one and a 5 to the second one. I would just, and maybe that's based on if I rewatch it, I might feel differently. But like I said, I didn't get what I expected. And so I was just kind of in shock too much of it. Where I was like, okay, what is this? Yeah. So that's the lowest ranking I think I've ever given anything except that episode of Mando where they went to Jack Black's planet or whatever.
I felt like it was a solid start, but not at all what I expected. It's like you. I was wanting a show about the evil characters.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing I ever heard about it is, hey, what if we do a show from the protagonists or the bad guys?
Yeah.
Well, that didn't happen.
Well, in fact, my husband, we were sitting down before it. My husband knew nothing about this show. Nothing. Mm-hmm. He was like, there's a new Star Wars show. I didn't even tell him about it. And he's like, it was about 2 seconds before it started. He's like, I want to know when we're going to have a show in which Sith is the protagonist. Yeah. And I'm like, husband, it's going to be this show. That's what I said.
Yeah. I mean, we got a teaser poster given to us of a lightsaber trailing down the wall with blood trailing down the wall. Yeah. So, that's dark. Where is that? Where is that?
So maybe that's why I'm like in the 5 area. I need to go back and rewatch it because I've only watched it once. And it may go up as the rest or it may go even down as the rest of the series progresses.
Oh, it's totally dependent on what happens next. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay, Corellian, how about you?
For me, I would give the first episode, I'd give it a 6, and the second episode a 5.5.
Wow, I'm the lowest of all of you. Wow.
Yeah.
That's almost unheard of too.
Yeah.
You're just so mean-spirited. Nothing ever pleases you.
I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's great. I'm just right in the middle with all of it. I just do hope it improves. I hope some of the speculation that we talked about, just comes true because I think it would make it a much more interesting, compelling story.
Yeah.
Well, one thing's for sure, we're giving people of different backgrounds cosplay. Which seems to be the goal of most of these shows now.
Which is wonderful. Don't be complaining about that.
It's terrific.
This is something I've wanted for a long time, but also that can't be the only thing that makes a show good. You got to have a great storyline. You got to have great characters. And so far, the storyline is the most intriguing to me because it made me speculate a lot. The characters, I felt like the side characters really didn't pop out and they didn't work together like a great ensemble yet. Mm-hmm. But I do like Osha, May. There's just not enough yet there of May to understand.
We came in
and
the middle
I love
of the story.
Soul. Yeah. So it's got potential, but whether or not it will pan out, I'm more iffy on it than I have been on any other series so far in the first couple of episodes.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, but I tried to, once I realized it wasn't going to be what I was expecting, I tried to just let that go, and I did enjoy the good side of the good character of the protagonist. I thought she did it. I like
Yeah,
somebody just
the
smiling and
actress
having a good
really,
time.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
she sold it. I really liked her.
She
Good
seemed
character.
relaxed in her role in life. I just liked that, and because if you're going to come disrupt somebody's life, they almost need to be content with it, even though they started her from a very humble place. To make it almost like she doesn't want to be pulled into this, but she is, and but I did not buy her as the villain. It just
Yeah,
saw no
yeah,
evil. I saw no evil intent from that character at all.
Yeah.
yeah. I didn't either. It wasn't sinister. It didn't have a real
No,
sinister feeling
There's
to
no
no,
it when the villain
sinister
was there.
aspect
no.
to it.
Yeah.
I
and
agree with
and
that.
sometimes the scope hurt it, like the guy watching from 20 feet away with the binoculars, and the scene where she broke into the Jedi temple by standing 4 feet behind the kid she was getting to do her job for
Right.
her to trick them. It's like yeah, there's a kid knocking on the door. Well, who's the sinister Sith looking person right there
Right.
on our ring camera, right behind him. That was weird too. It's like there's just you need to be at least around a corner, right? Or something. The audacity.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I really feel like I would have bought more into the evil if she had killed the bartender at least.
And the baby.
To kill the kid. She knows the kid's traumatized and can't repeat anything that happened. So just kill her father right in front of her. That would have been the trick. You're hanging on to your daddy, huh? Just keep hanging on as he gets cold. But,
we did need you writing it.
Yeah, I just want to see I want to see the Mad Max equivalent scene of like,
yeah,
right, I'm chaining you to the bar and I'm setting the bar on fire. You cut through that chain and probably won't make it out in time. But your leg,
cut through your leg.
leg's a lot more pliable. I don't know. Shouldn't you fear the Sith? Shouldn't you?
Yes,
fear them? I'm not afraid of them at all so far. What's that one guy doing? Like, it was cool. It was like the coast of Portland or sort of the coast of Oregon. He was hanging out on. He's like, the Jedi live in a dream. Here's my saber.
Yeah, let's just ignite the saber.
I want to arrange a
what's the
meeting
point
with
of
him.
igniting the saber?
Yeah, and so I just want to arrange a meeting with him and just like we can take him, right? And then just everybody rush him right when he's in the middle of a speech, just rush him and knock him down, rip his helmet off to see who he is. It'd be like in a Scooby-Doo episode. Nice. It was Indara, old woman Indara the whole time.
I'm like you though. I wanted more like when Darth Maul and Darth Sidious turn the corner and keep talking. That's what I was expecting. Like, because I remember the first time we saw commercials for Phantom Menace, and Darth Maul opened his mouth and he spoke with like this British accent where he sounded like so posh. I'm like, what? I want to know more about that character.
I thought he was going to come out with like drums pounding and do some kind of primitive dance or something. I didn't think he was going to be like,
I'm like, what are you? I want to know more about you.
Jedi abomination.
Exactly.
They're offense to my sensibilities. Okay, guy with horns and red face paint.
Right, red and black.
Devil boy from Planet Satan. Yeah, I remember seeing
your name is literally Maul.
His face plastered on the front of whatever it was. Was it Vanity Fair or something? His face was on the front of, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I thought they jumped the shark for sure, and then it became one of the most popular.
Yeah, and then when he opened his mouth, it was like, oh wow, what are you?
And I'm sorry, doesn't there have to be some benefit to the dark side? Because there isn't so far. You have to hide. You have to just constantly grind your teeth, which it shows because their teeth turn black and look hideous. So they don't have a good dental plan. They have no benefits.
And what is the point
you can't
of
have to sleep with
living
one eye open
if you're horribly maimed and mauled?
They can't even make up their mind about that. They can't even make up their mind about that. Strike me down and what? What happens to you then? Why do you want to be struck down so bad? I mean, what is going on? Explain. If they would just explain some of it, it would be so cool, And they got all this untapped stuff there with the evil side to do.
Yeah,
is what's frustrating. But
we need more evil.
I told you guys that was my major disappointment with this, that it just seemed to be more about the fumbling Jedi than
Yeah,
it did about
yeah,
the Sith. Got literally one scene so far.
Mhm.
yeah.
All right. But
But
anyway,
we'll give it a chance,
Yeah,
and
we're
we'll
gonna give it a chance. So that's gonna
yeah.
wrap up our episode 1 and 2 synopsis. And we look forward to seeing what you think in the comments down below. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you checking us out, and we will see you hopefully next week.
take it easy.
Oh, he just flipped Obi-Wan strikes again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like in the
half a
pose,
ball
like,
beats
Yeah.
none.
oh.
I'll trade you
This
half a
is his
mall,
lower half too, because there's his saber. Those are
a
like,
Oh,
scout
that's
walker,
funny.
and a land speeder for your lightsaber. Well, which half of the mall is it? Well, it's the legs, to be honest. No, no. What kind of fool do you take me for?